Ryan here with the Flavor Vapor North. About earlier this year, I made a video on how to do the element coil. It was an idea I had similar to the stovetop, but I was actually looking at a real stovetop and thinking about the heating element on there, and that's what made me come up with this coil. And on my video, I really didn't show in in-depth detail how exactly to do it, so I figured I would do a follow-up video and show y'all exactly how to build the element. The trick is the starting point, and this is what differs from the stovetop, because you actually start this coil from the middle and work your way out. So you want to pinch, and this is 24 gauge. You can use any gauge of wire. The main thing that makes this coil so difficult is you need it to be pretty small. So it's all in starting the build that is going to determine the quality of the coil, okay? And having a small pair of jeweler's pliers is really going to help, but that's essentially what you want to start with. And then from that point, you'll use your pliers and just guide the wire around without allowing it to touch each other or anything else. And then the end result is you are left with a little element coil, okay? It kind of looks like the heating element. You'll notice it's pretty close in some areas, but not touching anywhere. That is what's important, because it'll hotspot. If that wire touches each other at any point, it will hotspot, okay? And so that's only half the problem, half the struggle, okay? We have a new Vulcan RDA here, and that, like I said, is half of the coil. The hardest part, in all honesty, is attaching the coil to your dripper, because it can't touch the outer rim, it can't touch anywhere except on its leads. So you want, the trick to doing it is to adjust your coil, line it up so you can see exactly where it's going to go in. And I usually don't use the holes because it's too low, and I set it in there at an angle so it can fit in there nice and give it a good surface area for the cotton. So I usually just use the post. You can use the holes if you've got the right dripper, but the trick is to finding exactly where it's going to set in there and bending your wires accordingly, so that way when you attach it, it doesn't deform it or twist it in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to put it right here, bam, and right there. I'll usually just connect that first one.
See if there's any, let me check the universe real quick. See if there's anything on there.
I'm just wrenching it on there really tight. Anytime you adjust it, you want to make sure that you hold it so it doesn't twist off or anything. Clipped a little excess. You have to really watch it, because sometimes when you're wrenching it down, it will twist those wires. As you can see,
At the moment we have black, clear, and blue.
it is twisting the wires, and you don't want that. You want it to be nice and flat, like a pancake essentially. So you just snip it off, take you a pair of pliers, get in there and flatten it all down.
Looks interesting.
Alright, and then you can do some minor adjusting once it's in there with the cotton as well. So now what you want to do is go ahead and tuck it down into the well. Make sure that it's not touching any other part, any other post or the outer rim. You can kind of bend it. It's still touching that post, so I'm just going to take it and just pull all of it over a little bit. You got to be kind of careful. This is really the hardest part of the whole operation, is making it where it fits inside your dripper. Because anytime you adjust one wire, it bends another side of the wire, and then therefore it'll start warping the design. But that is an element coil at a 0.54 right there. Now you can put a second coil if you want to on the other side, but in all honesty, these vape absolutely fantastic single coil. They almost vape better than any regular dual micro coil with a single element coil. Now if you want a cloud chase or something, I would definitely put 2 of them on there, but one will amaze you. And I'll get some cotton in there and we can check it out. Now the trick with the cotton also is less is more, obviously, just like with any build. Do not need a lot of it, and all you're going to want to do is just barely tuck it underneath there, okay? You want it kind of nice and fluffy, and you can bend your coil out and give you a little bit more room if you want to bend it out. I usually can just stuff it down in there or go from the other side. I will actually bend this one out just a little bit, just to give me a little bit of room to work with. Didn't do very much. And you only want the cotton underneath one side of it. The other side is going to be where your airflow is, so it'll just travel. That'll be the surface area. There you go. I'll come back here and pull that cotton up on both sides. Make sure that all of the entire coil on the back side is touching cotton, because it will hot spot if it's not. And then there you have it. Push it down in there. And there's an element coil for you. Alright, so now that you've got your cotton in there, airflow right in front of it, obviously, This one doesn't really have enough airflow for this. I would probably need to bore out that. These Vulcans only have that little bit of airflow right there, so it's not going to vape as good as it could. But you always want to do a test fire, and when I say test fire, that just means you want to get in here and saturate. Got some of our gummy panda juice. It's one of the new flavors by Chi that is delicious. Alright, so now that it's nice and saturated, you want to double check and make sure that your cotton is touching, and you want to make sure that it's not overlapping to the front of the coil either. That's going to restrict some of your airflow, and it's not going to give a good as hit as it could. Like I said, you don't want it too tight in there, not too loose. You just got to find that happy medium. Alright, so now I will fire this to make sure it doesn't hot spot. And that's good, flavorful vape right there. See, I just fired that. It never got red. You can tell that the cotton is dried out or drying out, getting very close to being dried out, and it never hot spotted. That's a good build right there. That's what you're looking for.